Hi everyone, I am Eunice Lastimoso, a third-year B.Ed student at Negros Oriental State University Shatton campus. Today, I will going to discuss about social science, Rizal, and other hues. But before that, please be guided with our learning objectives. So, at the end of the lecture or lesson, the learners should be able to explain the different forms of heroism, intellectual, revolutionary, moral, and civic demonstrated by Jose Rizal, Andres Bonifacio, Gamburza, and Melchora Aquino, and their contributions to Filipino nationalism. Create and present a group output, poster, roleplay, or concept map that connects one Filipino hero's actions during the Spanish period to a present-day social issue such as education, justice, or civic responsibility. Show appreciation for Filipino heroism by actively engaging in discussions and respecting different perspectives. So, this will be the learning outcomes after the discussion. Now, let's move forward to the concept of heroism in Philippine history. So, the demonstration of extraordinary courage, self sacrifice, and dedication, often involving risk to one's life or well being for the greater good of the community or nation. So, heroism in Philippine history involves sacrifice, courage, and dedication for the common good. So, it is often dangerous and requires choosing the welfare of others over personal safety. So, meaning it expands heroism beyond physical bravery to include moral strength and intellectual resistance. So, for example, a teacher who stands up against corruption despite threats shows the same courage as historical heroes. So, that is the concept of heroism in Philippine history. Now, let's move forward sa types of heroism demonstrated by key figures. So, there are four types of heroism. Um, these are intellectual heroism by Jose Rizal, revolutionary heroism by Andres Bonifacio, moral religious heroism by Gamborza, and civic heroism by Melchora Aquino. But let us first define the intellectual heroism by Jose Rizal. So, intellectual heroism by Jose Rizal. Rizal used his intelligence, education, and writing to fight injustice. Through his novels and essays, he exposed problems in society like corruption and abuse. Instead of fighting with weapons, he fought using ideas and truth to push for reforms. Second, revolutionary heroism by Andres Bonifacio. So, Bonifacio believed freedom should be achieved through action and armed struggle. He organized the masses and led the Katipunan to fight for independence from Spain. His heroism is shown in leadership, courage, and willingness to risk his life for freedom. Third, moral religious heroism by Gamborza. Gamborza or Gomez Burgos Zamora were priests executed by the Spanish. So they showed strong faith and courage despite false accusations. So that's an awakened nationalism and inspired future heroes like Rizal. Lastly, Civic Heroism by Melchora Aquino or Tandang Sora. So she helped revolutionaries by giving them food, shelter, and care. Even without fighting, she supported the cause through kindness and sacrifice. Her actions show that helping others can also be a form of heroism. So, those are the four types of heroism demonstrated by key figures. Now, let's move forward to historical, social, and cultural context. So, the environment that shaped these heroes was defined by the Spanish colonial system, rule of the Catholic Church and prior abuses, social inequality, and literature, language, and cultural identity. So, this section explains the situation in the Philippines during the Spanish rule that shaped the heroes and influenced why they fought for change and freedom. So, Spanish colonial system is Spain controlled the government and daily life in the Philippines. So, Spanish culture, traditions, and religion were forced on Filipinos. So, local customs and beliefs were often ignored or looked down on. Second, rule of the Catholic Church and prior abuses. So, this rule of the Catholic Church and prior abuses. Priors had great power not only in religion but also in policies or politics and land ownership. So some abused their power through corruption and land grabbing. These unfair actions made many Filipinos angry and pushed them to resist Spanish rule. Third, the social inequality. So, social inequality, society was divided into classes. So, the educated and wealthy Filipinos or ilustrados like Rizal had more opportunities. Most Filipinos were poor and uneducated. So, Bonifacio focused on organizing and inspiring these ordinary people to join the fight for freedom. Lastly, the literature, language, and cultural identity. So, Spanish rule limited Filipino self expression and culture. So, heroes used writing and language to unite Filipinos. So, Rizal used his novels to expose problems and awaken nationalism. Bonifacio used Tagalog so common people could understand and feel included. So, this helped build a shared Filipino identity and sense of nationhood. So, those are the four historical, social, and cultural context, that environment that shape these heroes. Now, let's move forward to Rizal's intellectual resistance. So Rizal exemplified the power of the pen over the sword in initiating change. So Rizal believed change could happen through ideas and writing instead of violence. He used knowledge and truth to fight Spanish abuses. So Rizal's um, he used of novels. His books Noli Me Tangere and El Filibusterismo expose corruption and injustice in the government and church. So these works opened Filipinos' eyes to the real situation in the country. So advocacy for education and reform. So Rizal believed education would help Filipinos improve their lives. He thought educate, educated citizens could help build a better society and eventually govern themselves. Advocacy for education and reform. So Rizal believed education would help Filipinos improve their lives. He thought educated citizens could help build a better society and eventually govern themselves. Influence on nationalist thinking. So his writing helped unite Filipinos. He encouraged people to think of themselves as one nation, not just by region or province. Now, let's talk about Andres Bonifacio, the revolutionary leadership. So Bonifacio represented the awakening of the masses. So Bonifacio inspired ordinary Filipinos to stand up and fight for freedom. He showed that the revolution was not only for the rich or educated. So, Andres Bonifacio is the founder of Katipunan or KKK. So, in 1982, Andres Bonifacio created the Kataas-Taasan, Kagalang-galangan, Katipunan ng mga Anak ng Bayan. This was a secret group that aimed to gain independence from Spain through revolution. Mobilize common people. So mobilize common people. Unlike the illustrados or educated elite who wanted reforms from Spain, Bonifacio organized workers and farmers. So he encouraged them to join the fight for freedom. So advocated independence, not just reform. So the Katipunan, led by Andres Bonifacio, did not just want small changes from Spain. So their main goal was complete freedom and separation from Spanish rule. So they believed this could only be achieved through armed revolution, not peaceful requests. Lastly, the representation of grassroots nationalism. So, Bonifacio's leadership showed that the love for the country came from ordinary Filipinos, not just the rich or educated. So, nationalism was strong among workers, farmers, and common people who wanted freedom. So this proved that the revolution was a people's movement supported by the masses, not only by the elite. Now let's talk about Gomburza, martyrdom, and moral courage. So, Mariano Gomez, Jose Borges, and Jacinto Zamora became symbols of colonial oppression. So these three Filipino priests were treated unfairly by the Spanish government. So their suffering showed how Filipinos were abused under Spanish rule. So execution in 1872. So they were falsely accused of being involved in the Cavite mutiny. So they were executed publicly to scare other Filipinos, especially priests and educated people, so they would not oppose Spain. Next, the symbol of injustice. So there that showed how unfair and biased the Spanish legal system was toward Filipinos. So it made people realize the cruelty of colonial rule. Then inspired Rizal and reformists. So their execution deeply affected the young Jose Rizal. So it pushed him to expose Spanish abuses through his writings and fight for reforms. So those are from Gamburza. Now let's talk about our move forward to Melchora Aquino civic heroism. So Melchora Aquino is also known as Tandang Sora. So she became famous for quietly helping the revolution. She did not fight in battles but gave important support. She supported sheltered revolutionaries. So sheltered revolutionaries, she allowed Katipuneros to hide in her home when they were being chased. They helped keep them safe, especially at the start of the revolution. She also provided food and care. She also provided food and care. So she gave food, water, and treated wounded fighters. She risked her life because helping rebels was dangerous. So, example of community-based heroism is her heroism demonstrates that fighting for the nation does not always require bearing arms but can be achieved through selfless service to those who fight. So, this section shows that heroism is not only about fighting in battle. So, Tandang Sora became a hero by serving and supporting others. Her kindness and selfless actions helped that revolution succeed even without using weapons. Let's move forward to relevance of heroes today. So this heading introduces the idea that the actions of past heroes still matter today. So their lives continue to inspire modern Filipinos and guide how people act in society. So the actions of these historical figures provide enduring models for contemporary Filipino life. So this means their values and sacrifices remain examples for how Filipinos should live today, being brave, helping others, thinking critically, and standing up for what is right. So by this table, it represents the hero, value demonstrated, and the modern connection. So first, Husa Rizal. So Husa Rizal, his value demonstrated is education and critical thinking. Then the modern connection is that advocating for better funding and quality in public education as mandated by Republic Act 1425, the Rizal Law. So meaning students and citizens should value learning, support education, and think carefully about social issues. Next, Andras Bonifacio. So his value demonstrated collective action and the modern connection organizing for social change, participating in peaceful protests, and demanding accountability from leaders. So, meaning people can work together to bring change, join movements, and demand fairness from leaders in peaceful ways. Next, Gamburza. So, their value demonstrated moral courage. So the modern connection, speaking out against corruption, abuse of power, or systemic injustice, even when personally risky. So, meaning speaking up against corruption, abuse, and injustice, even when it is risky. Then lastly, Melchora Aquino. Um, hers, her value demonstrated the service to community. So, volunteerism, supporting local charities, and providing aid during disasters or community needs. So, the meaning of this is volunteering, helping during disasters, and supporting people in need are ways to show heroism today. So, next, let's move forward to the conclusion. So, the study of Philippine heroes offers invaluable lessons for contemporary society. So, by understanding their sacrifices, values, and contributions, Filipinos can draw inspiration to address present day challenges. So, whether through intellectual pursuits, revolutionary action, moral courage, or civic service, the spirit of heroism continues to be relevant in shaping a just and progressive nation. Emulating these heroes empowers individuals to actively participate in nation building and uphold the ideals of freedom, justice, and equality for all. So, meaning Filipino heroism is diverse, dynamic, and deeply rooted in the struggle for freedom and dignity. So heroes like Rizal, Bonifacio, Gamboriza, and Matura Aquino show that love for country can be expressed through intellect, action, moral courage, and selfless service. So their experiences teach us that heroism is not limited to the past. So it continues today in classrooms, communities, and everyday acts of courage. So, by understanding their sacrifices, learners are inspired to become responsible, critical, and compassionate citizens who contribute positively to society. Now, let's talk about the quotes according to Martin Luther King Jr. So, according to him, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Meaning, this quote means that any act of injustice, no matter where it happens, affects the fairness and well being of everyone. Ignoring injustice in one place can allow it to spread, threatening justice everywhere. So that's all. So these are the references. And thank you and God bless.